Good evening, everyone. My name's Tom Drain. I'm the current chair of the Central Beaverton Neighborhood Association Committee, and as you may have seen, we will be recording this in accordance with Oregon public meeting laws. So you can either consent and stay, or if you don't consent, then we'll see you later. That does include the chat. I have been encouraged to mention that that does include anything that goes on in the chat. So if you don't want it recorded for posterity, then it probably shouldn't go in there. And we do have a lot going on. So we'll go ahead and get rolling. I have a little preamble that I'm going to read. And if I can find it, because I got so many things on my screen. Great. Purpose of the Central Beaverton Neighborhood Association Committee is to act in an advisory role to the Council and Administration of the City of Beaverton on matters of importance to the CBNAC or the city, and to provide a forum for the involvement and participation for the greatest number of citizens. There are no dues or fees for NAC membership, and anyone who lives, works, owns property, or represents a nonprofit within the NAC border is a member. And if you're concerned, if you don't know if you're within the NAC border, within the Central Beaverton border, there are maps on the city website, and Central Beaverton in particular is very confusing. So worth looking at. The CBNAC's activities are civic and educational, and some of its goals are to bring about a maximum exposure of ideas and plans that are formulated for Central Beaverton, such as development proposals or other land issues, and to provide opportunities for input to the city through such avenues as the mayor, the city council, city commissions, and staff of the city of Beaverton. City of Beaverton has a matching grant program available to residents that we utilize to fund some of our community activities. And if you have an agenda item that you would like to add or have added to our next meeting, if you have any questions about the NAC or an idea for a community event or project, please see me after the adjournment of the meeting. I'm going to go ahead and add my email to the chat once I get finished reading this. And I encourage you, any new attendees, to send me a quick email during the meeting with your name and contact information. And I'd be happy to follow up with you about the CBNAC. Additionally, any email that you provide us will be used to send periodic updates on the NAC and upcoming events in your neighborhood. So with that out of the way, let me real quick add to the chat my, let's see if I can spell my own name correctly. Seriously, I've never had this problem before. Great. So what we'll do is I'll go ahead and go around all of our attendees, including panelists and presenter, and just call on folks to introduce yourself. If you're presenting, just tell us why what your item is. And I've got a question for everybody, and it's a little bit different. So for just our regular attendees, if you could just if you would just mention briefly what maybe the last volunteer opportunity in the area that you had was. Doesn't have to be recent, just could be whatever. Doesn't have to be big or small. And then for those of us on the Central Beaverton Neighborhood Association Committee, if you would take a moment to maybe expand on why you choose to participate in the Neighborhood Association Committee meetings and process, why we take the time every week, every month to come and participate in that. So I will usually start with the board. I'm going to end with the board this time so that we can curtail folks if needs be. So I will start with Franziska.
Hi everyone, my name is Franziska Rose. I work for the City of Beaverton as the Public Involvement Coordinator, and I am the staff liaison to this lovely NAC. And the last volunteer gig that I had, I actually used to volunteer at the Washington County Jail before COVID. So that was a long-standing commitment that I had.
All right. Megan Broadsten.
Hello, Megan Broadsten, City of Beaverton Community Development Department. I'm one of your speakers today. I'm going to be talking about downtown restaurants and restaurant strategy, and I'm going to make you very hungry, so I hope that you've eaten dinner. But the last official volunteer, I do lots of fun work as much as possible. The last volunteer was for a group called Death OK that helps start the Death Cafe movement and the the movement that really talks about we all are born, we all die, yet for some reason we're not willing to talk about that last part, and it's actually okay to talk about it. So I was helping with that movement.
Fantastic. Lulú Ballesteros.
Hi, Lulú Ballesteros from THPRD. My last official, like Megan was saying, was at the Mexican consulate in DACA application with Eichler. And that's it.
Cool. Let's go to Susan Greenberg.
Needed.
There.
Oh, there we go. Susan Greenberg, Beaverton School Board, which is a volunteer commitment. And I also have volunteered helping seniors get vaccines.
Cool.
There you
Fantastic. Jeanette Schade.
Yeah, Jeanette Schade, I'm candidate running for Beaverton School Board Zone 1. And I volunteer every Thursday as a mentor to women with betrayal trauma to help them overcome some betrayal trauma.
Great. Officer Sutton, do you want to share anything? And then we'll come back to you for the BPD report.
Yes, hi, it's Officer Sutton with Beaverton Police Department. Pre-COVID, I volunteered at the elementary school as a school librarian, and I miss it. I loved it. I loved it. It was, I know, go figure, right? But it was one of my favorite things to do, and I can't wait to get back in the schools.
Cool. All right, I'm going to also go through the rest of the attendees and then come back to the board. So if you are attending, but you've called in, you may need to hit *6 after I allow you to talk in order to unmute yourself. So hopefully everyone here will be able to get through. We'll start with a couple. First, Francis Miller.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Good. I have a friend here who's a resident of Beaverton Lodge, and she's looking to. The thing I'm volunteering with now is a friendly chat program of Meals on Wheels, where I can volunteer to call 5 people on the days I select who are receiving Meals on Wheels and are supposedly homebound.
Excellent. And what was your friend's name?
This is Eleanor Dubois.
Oh, Eleanor. Okay. Fantastic. Well, thanks for joining us again. And then John Jensen.
I'm John Jensen. I'm right in the middle of, well, right in the middle of it. But I'm also a staff member.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize, John Jensen. I clicked on the wrong, apparently the.
And what I said was so beautiful. No, I'm currently just right up in the middle of it. COVID-19 vaccination clinic with Washington County.
Fantastic. Excellent. Just clearing up some of the. John Richter. And once again, if you've called in, you may need.
Hello, this is John Richter. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
I'm not currently volunteering for anything, but I live in Beaverton, and I'm curious about what's going on here.
Fantastic. All right. Thanks for joining us. And so let's see. Jolene Guptill.
Hi there. Yeah, my name's Jolene, and the last volunteer thing I did was with the Beaverton Downtown Association.
Fantastic. Thanks for joining us. Sarah Lynn Dougal or Dougal.
Hello, yes, my name is Sarah Lynn Dougal, and I am also running for the Beaverton School Board, Zone 4, however. Currently, I am leading or hosting a poetry club for young girls, and I also teach teens 2 times a week. These are volunteer activities.
Fantastic. And lastly, Mike. Are you with us, Mike? Again, if you've called in, you may need to hit *6 on a phone, and if you prefer to stay. Oh, don't have a camera, Mike? That's fine. You can either say hi in the chat. We'll have that recorded, and everybody should be able to see it. Otherwise, you're just welcome to attend and observe. But thanks for joining us. All right. In that case, we will go ahead and move on to the board. So again, the board, if you just take a sentence or two to let us know what led you to participate in the Neighborhood Association Committee program, starting with Kinsey Johnson, since I know you will have to leave it.
Throw me right in there. Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Kinsey. I am part of the board, a Central Beaverton resident, and I'm on the sustainability subcommittee. And I joined NAC because I had just moved out to Oregon from Maryland, and I was surrounded by everything unknown, and I wanted to find a way to get involved and hopefully positively impact the community around me, as well as just get to know the area that I was in. So I have joined, and since it's been an awesome experience, and yeah, I keep coming back. So here I am.
Great. Thank you. We'll go to our soon-to-be newest board member, Rachel Phillip.
Hey everyone. Yeah, I started coming to meetings like at the end last quarter of last year. And the reason I started was I really want to do something here locally about the climate crisis, and I was trying to figure out ways I could actually make a difference. I'm also on the sustainability subcommittee with Kinsey. So yeah, it's exciting to actually feel like we're beginning to make progress.
Fantastic. Thanks for joining us. Amanda Clark.
Hi everyone, Amanda Clark, the recorder for the Central Beaverton NAC. And the reason I started with the NAC was I am the community engagement manager for Beaverton Civic Theater, which is located in the Central Beaverton NAC. So I started first coming to meetings because it was a connection to that, but shortly after became a Central Downtown Beaverton resident myself. And the thing that keeps me coming back is just seeing opportunities to build community and help with community education and let people know what's going on and what events we're doing and things like that.
Great. Thank you very much, Amanda. Kevin Teeter.
Hey everybody, I'm Kevin Teeter. I'm the Executive Director of the Beaverton Downtown Association, and I am no longer a downtown Beaverton resident, so I actually moved into the Vos neighborhood. I know I betrayed you all. Sorry. What drew me here was that I was a downtown Beaverton resident, and also the nonprofit Beaverton Downtown Association has a lot of work that overlaps with the values and priorities that are often talked about here. So it's continued to be a beneficial relationship and partnership.
Well, you only get to wear one hat, NAC now.
That's true.
All right. Jonathan Todd-Kourlas.
Hello, everyone. Jonathan Todd-Kourlas. I'm the BCCI rep for Central Beaverton. I think what brought me first was wanting to know what was going on all the time, but now is just hoping to make change and impact at a local level the best that we can.
Great. Thank you, Jonathan. Finally, again, my name's Tom Drain. I'm the current sitting chair. I spent most of my adult life moving from one address to another, looking for not knowing when I moved to a place where my next place of residence went. When we were moving to this last time, my family and I were looking for some place that we were really going to settle, and that was very exciting to me for the first time in my adult life, so probably 25, 30 years almost, to actually know that I've moved here and I'm not moving. And I'm very excited about that. And so the thing about the community that you live in is you either get really lucky and you move into an amazing community, or you have to build it when you're there. So I think that when I started getting involved with the NAC, I knew that the city was going to be doing some work around the property. So kind of like anybody else, a lot of people come in just interested in what can the city do for me? How can I make sure that I'm not the guy getting taken, raked over the coals by the city? And instead, I found that it was a great group of people who had already started doing a lot of great community work, and that there was a lot of opportunity to do the community building that I didn't know that I even wanted to do. So luckily they thought that it was worthwhile for me to stick around, and now they let me run the meetings for some reason. So anyway, I'm also a big believer in if you can't complain if you don't participate, and I love to complain, so that means I need to participate. But anyway, thank you all for joining us this evening, and we're almost even on schedule. And with that, we'll go ahead and turn things over to Officer Sutton with the PPD update.
All right, thank you, Tom. Good to see everybody again. So my name again, Officer Sutton. I'm with the Beaverton Police Department. I am the Central Beaverton NAC officer. A few things I wanted to bring up tonight that's happening around the department. Two things right off the bat is April is National Victim Crimes Week is in April 18th, 24th. It's also Sexual Assault Awareness Month and Child Abuse Awareness Month. So at the plaza outside the brand new police department, if you see kind of teal colored pinwheels, what the city has done is they've placed one pinwheel for each child abuse report that was taken in all of 2020. The count I was told was 235 pinwheels have been placed out in the plaza. So, and that's just reports that we had taken of suspected or possible or confirmed child abuse that was forwarded to the Washington County DA's office is what I was told. So if you see that outside the police department, that's what that is for. Sexual Assault Awareness Month is also going on. I'm going to offer the resources that I know of within Washington County is the Domestic Violence Resource Center or the Sexual Assault Resource Center are both located in the city of Beaverton. And if you do a search for those, you should be able to find the phone number or address, or if anyone wants to reach out to me, I can always provide further resources to that. The other hot topic that we've been dealing with at the department level is mental health. Mental health is huge these days, and we're seeing quite an uptick in dealing with subjects in some sort of a mental health crisis or people who are homeless and experiencing a mental health crisis. Is just, it's an ongoing issue and it's not going away anytime soon, obviously. So this is something we deal with a lot. I've mentioned before in other meetings, I do work very closely with the Washington County Crisis Team and the Washington County Mental Health Response Team. So with that said, I'm pleased to announce that Beaverton Police Department is going to be adding at least one police officer to the interagency team of the Washington County Mental Health Response Team. Right now, it's pretty much just the Washington County Sheriff's Office. And what it is you'll have a deputy that's trained in crisis intervention, and they ride with a Washington County mental health clinician. These clinicians are provided to us by the Hawthorne Center, also known as LifeWorks. So Beaverton Police Department will be adding at least one officer to this team sometime in the next, I'd like to see it happen before the end of the year, preferably. I just don't know an exact time frame on that. So that's something I'm very excited about. I've mentioned in many of these meetings, I work with the crisis team quite a bit. They're great people, and mental health is one of those things that police deal with a lot, but we don't always have the most training in. So having more clinicians on the road is a good thing. So with that said, any questions anyone might have, things happen around the neighborhood that you've seen and didn't really get the whole story on or anything like that?
Is it okay if I ask a question?
Ma'am.
I was just curious about the child abuse reporting. Have you seen less child abuse reporting because students have not been in school?
That's a great question. I've never looked up those statistics. Just kind of ballpark off the top of my head, I would say yes, but I can't, confirm that with any statistical numbers.
Officer Sutton, Amanda, the recorder, I have a clarification for the minutes. Can you repeat the second resource for sexual assault victims? I have the Domestic Violence Resource Center, and the second one was?
And at this Beaverton Sexual Assault Resource Center, SARC is the acronym for it.
SARC, that's it.
Yeah, and these things, unfortunately, they do tie in. Domestic violence and sexual assault, unfortunately, are kind of, obviously they're not one and the same. They're related a lot. So
okay, great. And one more clarification. The police officer that's joining the crisis response team, are they training in mental health and learning from them, or are they adding resources to the team?
Both. Okay. So all of your Beaverton police officers have been through a 4-day course called crisis intervention training. And there is another level to that. They just called it advanced crisis intervention training. So the officer that's going to go to this mental health team has not been selected yet. I have no idea who it's going to be, but likely there will be more additional training in the mental health field. But one of the good things about this team is they work as a partner with a mental health clinician who's going to be a graduate level mental health clinician, I'm assuming. The ones that I've worked with have been, and they come from LifeWorks, and they go out in the field. They do a lot of home visits with people. That's a lot of the most common calls. When we find somebody in some sort of a mental health crisis, but they're not necessarily suicidal, we call either the crisis team or the Washington County Mental Health Response Team to assist and try to help these folks.
Officer Sutton, the pinwheels, is the number that you stated, the 235, is that just for Beaverton or was that Washington County?
I believe that's just Beaverton. And that's what I was.
And that's an annual report?
Just the year of 2020, yes.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Are there any other questions or comments for Officer Sutton? If you're one of our attendees, you can use the raise hand feature that's found in chat. And Kevin, could I ask you to monitor the chat for raised hands in case I miss them, since you're great at pointing them out?
Yeah, okay.
Fantastic, I appreciate that. So are there any other questions or comments for Officer Sutton for this month? Fantastic. Thank you for your time, Officer. I think I saw you driving by on Erickson. My son gave you a wave.
Oh,
Carrier.
Yeah, that was me today.
Yeah, I thought I recognized you. So anyway.
All right,
nice
your time. If somebody ever wants to reach out to me, obviously in a little more private setting, you can always call or email me. I've given my email address out before. I don't mind doing it again. It's always the best way to get a hold of me, but a phone call is fine as well. And I will do what I can for you guys if you have some sort of issue or problem.
Great. If you've got a moment, would you mind just putting that in the chat before you take off?
I will. Okay, I'm gonna do my best.
I did it for him since he's on the phone.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Well, thank you, Franziska, and thanks again, Officer Sutton.
All right, thanks. Have a great night, everybody.
We'll see you next month. And moving on then to the next agenda item. I know Megan Braunsten has another meeting to attend, so she's going to be next on queue, and she's going to give us an update about some restaurants in the downtown Beaverton area.
Great, thank you. Megan Braunsten again with the Community Development Department. I have just put all of my information in the chat if you have any questions. I am going to share my screen and show a PowerPoint. Feel free to interrupt me along this presentation should you have any questions about what I'm about to share. And again, I apologize if you haven't already eaten dinner because I am about to make you hungry. Okay, can everyone see my screen okay? I suddenly can't see you.
Yeah, we see your son.
Oh no. Isn't he adorable and the best artist ever? But I apparently shared the wrong screen. Excuse me, hold on just 1 second. Thanks, Kev.
You were just wanting to show off.
I do have the cutest son in the world. I'm perfectly happy with everyone else knowing that. Okay, do you see my PowerPoint now?
Yes. Okay,
great. And I again can't see you. Somehow you are hidden behind everything. So I'm just gonna move forward and please be vocal if you have any questions. So I am part of a restaurant strategy team that was put together several years ago, 6 years ago, 5 years ago, 5 years ago, let's say, with the purpose to specifically recruit downtown restaurants into downtown. There we go. It was initiated in 2016. So the goal, make Old Town the premier restaurant destination on the West Side. We brought together multiple staff from different divisions. We even, Kevin Teeter with the Beaverton Downtown Association and a member of the Chamber of Commerce also have participated on and off throughout the process. And fortunately, the results have been phenomenal. Since we started tracking how many restaurants opened and closed in 2017, 33 new restaurants have come to downtown, the majority of those into Old Town specifically, compared to only 11 closing or moving out of downtown because they needed to expand or they wanted to move elsewhere. And I think this is a phenomenal statistic. We have been so successful in supporting our restaurants in downtown. We have actually had more open during COVID than closed, and almost no business district can actually say that. We have had 8 new restaurants open, 5 have closed, but to be honest, only one of those really closed 100% because of COVID. A couple, of course, COVID had affected and they chose not to renew their lease, but only one ended up closing 100% because the pandemic had affected them so greatly. So today I wanted to chat and tell you what is coming. With all of those new restaurants, we still have 12 that are already leases signed, under construction, on their way, plus 2 new food and beverage opportunities with sale pending. And I'm going to walk through each and every one of these with you. So the numbers on the map are just saying how many are located in that location. That's what the 1s and the 2s mean. So if we start over near City Hall, our first one actually is open. This is the only one on my list that is already opened. 2 weeks ago, the Hyatt, I think it was 2 weeks ago, the Hyatt House Hotel opened up and their bar is now open for business. So if you want a really great martini or other mixed drink, absolutely go visit their bar there next to City Hall. We're very excited about that. And open as of last Wednesday, Clover and Booch, our first kombucha bar, catty corner to the Hyatt House, just opened. So for those who are used to going near City Hall, across the train tracks is where Brick House Coffee is. Right behind them was an architectural office. It is now a kombucha bar, and they are officially open. They also are a gift shop. So if kombucha isn't your thing, you just need another gift shop, definitely go by and check them out. Okay, let's move over to Broadway. Most of you should recognize these buildings, I anticipate. So this is the Bakery Blocks, which was purchased up a couple of years ago. And the building off to the left that you can't quite see was now the home of Miracle Signs, the owner of this entire block of buildings. And they have finally started renovating and bringing in new tenants. So going from left to right, we are about to get Binary Brewing. If you go into the same door, you would have used to be able to get pastries from Beaverton Bakery. It's now going to be a brewery in there, actually sharing a space with door number 2, and that is Rough Draft. Rough Draft is a burger joint that currently is a very successful food cart. They do smash burgers, if you are familiar with that new trend. And the 2 of them, while they have separate behind the scenes space, will be sharing the same common seating area. So you'll be able to order a burger from Rough Draft and a brew from Binary and have an amazing experience.
Megan, can I ask you a quick question? Because I'm seeing on here some at least one city program. So you've got some that are using storefront grants, and then is that T1 or TI grants? And
of course, I'm sorry. Thank you.
I'm just curious.
Absolutely. So I manage our storefront and tenant improvement grant programs along with a colleague of mine. TI stands for tenant improvement. And so you will also see that I've noted here which of these, the majority of them, frankly, one of the reasons that they were able to be recruited is because they were able to be awarded a tenant improvement grant or a storefront improvement grant. And so you'll see them noted which of these did get a city grant. So thank you very much, Tom, for mentioning that.
Thanks for explaining that.
Of course. So then building number 3 on the right where Big O's used to be, oh, I'm so sad that they left, but the entire building now is going to be CC Coffee Company. They're currently located in Portland, so this is an expansion, and they are really cool. They in their current location, they actually have a motorcycle gallery as part of their space. Here, they're still going to go with the motorcycle motif, but we won't get the full gallery as the last time I talked to them. Okay, moving over to Lombard and First, the former Stars strip club. I don't know if you guys have driven past it, but it in no way looks like this anymore. It is fully gutted and under construction and will soon be K-Town Barbecue, where on the inside, you're gonna be able to barbecue at your own seat. And here they're gonna have this great indoor-outdoor experience, which you see here on the bottom right. It is gonna be a phenomenal space that we are all going to love spending time in, and you're not gonna be able to tell what it used to be. And it's really gonna help that area really pop. I'm very excited. And then going directly across the street from that, Waba, that entire property is recently sold to the Burger Stevens outfit, another smash burger outfit, but they're not bringing Burger Stevens, they're bringing Shea Stevens. The main chef is actually a highly trained chef, and he's ready to open a French bistro. So picture great outdoor seating with some lovely cocktail options and some French food options. And you're just going to have a really great night on the town right across from K-Town. Okay, I hate to hop you all over the place if you have a map in your head, but let's go all the way over to 4th and Angel. So this is where La Vida Veggie used to be in this triplex. So La Vida Veggie was very sad when they ended up having to close a couple years ago. But Yubi Sushi is a sushi place from California that has moved up. Their construction is almost complete, like, oh, they're so close. And so they're going to be open any moment. They just have some electrical work they need to figure out. But this is, if you peek in the windows, this drawing, frankly, is exactly what it looks like, minus the people, obviously, because they haven't opened yet. But the rest of it, it looks exactly like this, and it looks amazing. Okay, now let's go over to Restaurant Row. So this is, we have a lot of activity happening here. So right along Farmington and Watson, we have the Bank of Beaverton building. So this is where the Arthur Murray Dance Studio used to be. So this is one that the city, through using BRA, Urban Renewal Funds, ended up purchasing this building and then immediately selling it to doing an RFP to find a seller who wanted to put this the perfect opportunity in this spot, as it is the gateway to our new Restaurant Row. And so Chef's Table came in and they had one concept that won, and then the pandemic happened and that concept didn't end up working out. And so luckily, Chef's Table, this is a restaurant group that had enough different types of restaurants that they have switched to one that they think would be even more successful. So the Loyal Legion is under construction as we speak. It has a Portland location where they have 99 local beer taps, mostly beer, and as well as German food. And they are converting that entire parking lot adjacent to it to outdoor dining. So this was pre-pandemic. They already were like, we need more outdoor dining in downtown. And now that the pandemic has happened, we need more outdoor dining in downtown. So it absolutely works out. So we were very excited for them to be opening this summer. I really need an updated picture. I don't know if you guys have been past this building, but the Beaverton Downtown Association has partnered with us to really do a full storefront improvement on this building, and it is looking phenomenal. But in the former Dukubi space, oh, boo, another one that I'm super sad ended up moving out of Old Town, will be First Street Pocha going in. First Street Pocha is a Korean street food restaurant. So while it's Korean, it's a little bit different flavor than, say, Nakwan, so they're not competition, but we're very excited that they're going into that small space currently. Right next to Koya Sushi, I'm not showing it here, but that's one of the new ones that opened during the pandemic, which happens to be right now probably gets way more of my paycheck than anything else. And if you haven't been there, it's phenomenal sushi. Okay, still in Restaurant Row, at our what we call our 100% corner, which is First and Watson, the Hot Box building. Hot Box has moved out. They have moved down Hall Boulevard to Beaverton Central area. And in its place, we are opening up 2 different restaurants. So first, we're going to have Sudra on the Watson side. Sudra is a plant-based Indian food restaurant that anyone who's been to it in Portland says that they love. Franziska is like giving me the 2 thumbs up kind of look. And Sizzle, she's one of the few faces I can see. Sizzle Pie then is going around the corner to them. So Sizzle Pie, I also hear, is really great pizza. And it's East Coast style, so it's a different style than our other pizza folks in the area. And I am very excited for both of them and the renovation, because really that old color that the Hot Box had chosen, like they chose this shiny brown that always looked like a Hershey's chocolate bar to me, and that's not the color that an outside of a building should be. But again, I'm the storefront manager, so I think a lot about paint. So again, they're going to be opening this summer. Okay, here's the property sale pending. Breakside Brewing has purchased this entire third-ish of a block, and they have 2 projects that they're going to be opening. The first one will be on the Farmington side. So here, where the vault used to be, is, because I think they moved out officially last week, but they will soon be reopening in the Katie building right next door. So soon in this parking lot, you're going to see this new space, which is the food cart. It'll be a food cart plaza. For some reason, they don't like the word food cart pod. I have not figured out why. whether I'm just too cool to understand, or not cool enough to understand is what I should have said. But we're going to go with Food Cart Plaza. So they're going to have 4 or 5 food carts, and they're going to have this really awesome container bar, hopefully, crossing our fingers, container bar where they're going to be serving their beer. And it's just going to be this really fun outdoor experience where we're all going to go out for cornhole after one of our next NAC meetings, I'm sure. And then as soon as they get this one, they're hoping to open this summer, probably late summer, because they have some site work to do. But then as soon as they get that one off the ground, they're going to finish planning what they're going to put in the former Rose City Modern building, which is at First and Angel. And here they're actually going to use 2/3 of the space to put a Breakside Brewing restaurant. They're not brewing on site, so I have been corrected. I can't call it a brew pub, which just seems wrong because it's a brewery. You should not have to say restaurant. You should be able to say brew pub, but since they're not brewing on site, it's a restaurant. Anyway, they're going to have another 1,000 square feet that they'll be putting another tenant, and so we're still playing with what that tenant is going to be. That one probably won't open until early 2022. All others that I just shared with you would be opening probably mostly this summer. Okay, that was a lot. So restaurant strategy, again, our original purpose was, let's take this burgeoning restaurant district that was starting with, that had Naquan and Todd-Kourlas and Dukaby, and let's change it into like a full restaurant row there. Let's make Old Town a destination. And you know what? It was successful. There is now a there. It is now a restaurant row, not a burgeoning restaurant row. It has arrived. It is there. We are rocking. And Beaverton is now on the radar in a substantial way. In the beginning, my team and I had to be out there making phone calls and really hitting the streets trying to recruit new restaurants to come in. And that is how we successfully got Big's Chicken and Ex Novo and Lionheart. And then I haven't had to pick up a phone and call anybody to try to recruit in probably a year or two. They're coming to us. And with COVID, everything that's happening either in Portland and frankly elsewhere, folks are, as they're wanting to expand or they're wanting to open new, they're realizing that downtown Beaverton really has some exciting activity happening and that they want to be part of it. And we're regularly running out of space with that many new restaurants coming on. We don't have that many buildings that can be converted at this point. So based on the recruitment and based on, we've been successfully helping new restaurants be able to renovate, and I'm going to touch on a little bit of that here soon. We are definitely on the radar as a successful place that people want to be in a good environment. So this success is allowing us to pivot a little bit. So we can provide more time and resources to really assist. Okay, now that we have a there, how do we really make that there be as successful as possible? So that same restaurant strategy group is going to start focusing on a couple additional things, or pivoting slightly. First, we want to support the growth that those new restaurants have created. So things like parking. I don't know anyone else who's looked at that map and said, oh my God, where are all those new people going to be parking? But parking, that is absolutely something that we want to help participate in. Pedestrian safety. We're going to have a lot more people walking in. We already have a lot more people walking downtown. How do we make sure that's as safe as can be? Outdoor dining. Assuming that you guys have been in downtown recently, since you're the Central Beaverton NAC, you would have seen that we have folks using outdoor dining during COVID. Well, that's actually, we're only allowing that as a temporary activity. We don't have permanent rules that allow that in our right of way, so on our streets, or to allow the First Street Dining Commons on a regular basis. So how do we help at least some of that be permanent? And we've created a there. Maybe we should brand the there. Maybe we should teach the businesses in downtown how to talk about the there, so that way everybody's talking about it at the same time, so everybody realizes what a cool thing they have downtown. So then we're going to pivot a little bit and help with the tenanting and activation of Beaverton Central. So over near City Hall, with the Hyatt House Hotel Inn, they actually have an adjoining restaurant space that is completely isolated from the hotel. How do we help make sure that that's a success, that's curated successfully, as is the still current vacant space, which shocks me, under the Rise Central. And then we, or at least BERA, the Urban Renewal Agency, is almost finished with a 7-story parking garage with 6,700 square feet of commercial underneath it. What should that new area be? What is the new commercial that would help make the current businesses thrive and the new businesses successful, all next to, of course, the Patricia Research Center for the Arts. And then ultimately, as Beaver Dam continues to grow and has construction happen on there, then I'm assuming we would pivot to figure out what, especially the ground floor plane, should happen there. And then how do we support an inclusive downtown and city? I can say, at least from a restaurant standpoint, when we look at our business owner statistics, it matches or exceeds, actually, in a lot of ways, the diversity of Beaverton, which is one of the most diverse communities in Oregon. But when we look at, say, the customer base that comes into downtown Beaverton, is it as diverse? I don't actually know the answer to that question, but my gut is saying that perhaps it's not. And if that's true, if it's not as diverse as the population of Beaverton, why not? And what other uses could we be recruiting in downtown, or placemaking activities or parks or services? What do we need for downtown to really be servicing everybody, since it is all of Beaverton's downtown? And then we're going to continue management of the successful storefront and tenant improvement grant programs. Again, those grants have been absolutely key to the success of recruiting new restaurants and helping our current ones really thrive and stay in place. But let's also take a moment to check those out and say, hey, you know what? Market conditions have changed, not only because of the success of downtown, but COVID has thrown a whole bunch of things up in the air. And let's really look at our community priorities and look at those and say, are there ways that we could be changing the storefront and tenant improvement grant programs so that way they can answer those two more properly? And finally, because I'm here and I talked about new things coming in, I have to showcase two of our current restaurants that have done major renovations and we're super excited about. First one, Mocha Tea House. Here was the before photo that most of you probably knew about pre-COVID. This is what it looks like today. On the inside, this is what it looked like, obviously, around Halloween time. This is what it looks like today. Not only have they rebranded, done a whole new look, they also opened what was a storage area upstairs to a whole new dining experience. So you can both eat upstairs and it's a space that you can now rent out for events, which is super exciting. And my final thing I'm going to share is Tan. So this was what it looked like pre-COVID, and then they just finished, they're just wrapping up construction. And this is what it looked like 2 weeks ago. So they haven't gotten, say, the plants and the planters and the mural on the wall yet, but it looks so amazing. And this is what it looked like on the inside before, and they fully changed the layout and they made it a much more smoother experience for customers. This is what it looked like, again, mid-construction 2 weeks ago. So when they reopen here in a few weeks, I'm sure Kevin Teeter will make sure that you guys absolutely know that's happening, and you guys can go visit.
Tan opened last week.
No, I'm behind the times. Does it look amazing, Tom? Oh, please tell me it looks amazing.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic, and they're already serving customers. They've got it's just as good as it ever was, and it's in a fantastic setting.
And Mocha Tea House is also reopened, so definitely go visit these two. And I obviously need some updated photos. Living in Tigard is really hard when like my daily life is there in Beaverton. This is great.
All right, we are a little bit up against on time. Are there any quick questions for Megan or comments?
I just wanted to say that I think my brain exploded during your presentation. I can't even process how much stuff is coming to Beaverton. It's really phenomenal, and you and your team have done amazing work in the last several years to really put Beaverton on the map in a really big way for the food scene. And as a foodie, I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you.
I think I've got one quick one just to touch on the last text slide that you had, and that was in thinking about now that there's a there and developing the character of that area in conjunction with the businesses. Are you you're with the overlapping with Bura, correct? So I assume that you're in some way involved in the Loop project that is going on?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
I know that there are, we see the community side, so I know that there are current tenants that are involved, but I didn't know if you, on the city staff side, how much coordination there's been between what your programs are doing and what Dan's doing.
Yep, absolutely. Dan and I chat on a regular basis.
Fantastic. So great. Then you will get to hear all of the different things that we have to say about parking. So
Yep. And the parking manager sits right next to me when I am in house. So I am always happy to talk about parking.
You can apologize to him on my behalf. Excellent. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to come in, and we're all very excited to see what's happening, and then eventually to go out and patronize these great businesses.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for having me. I'm always happy to come back if there's any reason you guys would like to hear from me. I do have to run. I'm double booked tonight. I got to go to URAC and give a same presentation.
Great. All right. Well, we will just quickly move on to Lulú with THPRD update.
Hi, everybody. We're going to have Liana come in and give us an update on a park. And aside from that, we have April 12th is when we're bringing out all the wide range of classes that we're going to be offering for summertime. As always, we encourage that we all register online, or we can go to centers as well. But that's the first recommendation would be to register online. We also will be expanding our Centro de Bienvenida for Spanish speakers registration day to other languages happening at the administration office. And of course, we have telephone registration available. So we just want to invite everybody to check it out, April 12th, summer camps, activities, everything that we will have for summertime. And that's about it. And reach out if you have any questions or suggestions, of course.
Fantastic. Thank you, Lulú. Is there any other question for just in general for THPRD? Okay, well, great. We'll look forward to actually taking advantage of the facilities. All right, then, moving on to the BCCI report, Jonathan.
Hello again. Just a couple things I wanted to go over that happened in our last meeting. We got a report or a little presentation about the climate action plan. So I just wanted to let everyone know that let me find out my notes. Recruitment begins for the Climate Action Task Force, I believe it's called, in April. And so if you want to join that committee, look out for that. They're hoping to get a pretty broad representation of the city. Yeah, so help the city with climate action, important. We're still working on a traffic calming. We most likely be having someone from BCCI probably reaching out, I'm guessing for next month, to kind of get some feedback on the traffic calming process. So they went and presented to the traffic commission, and they kind of, to be frank, weren't like super thrilled to hash this out. So we are going to do our homework and get as much feedback from all the NACs that we can to kind of give them a report on what needs to change, because sounds like it needs to change. So be on the lookout for that. And if you have any ideas for the traffic calming process, or if you've experienced it before, feedback would be helpful. And then most importantly is the Voters Forum. It is this month on April 29th at 6:30. I'll put a link in the chat. Please submit questions on there. It will be on TVCTV as well as YouTube. I think there's 4 people running for council position 1, a couple THPRD. There's even information on there on the Beaverton School District Voters Forum, because they are having their own, but I'll put that in there. And I think, let me just double check my notes. Yeah, there was no matching grants reviewed, but they had one coming up, which I think is ours. So I have not heard about.
Was that the bike
for the bike things? I don't know if it actually got submitted yet, but I was assuming that was it for the bike repair.
It has been submitted. So Miles has been out. So he's usually the one that coordinates the subcommittee matching grant meetings. So, but I will follow up and find out where that's at.
Thank you. And yep, that's all I got.
Great, thank you, Jonathan. And moving on to city update.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah.
There are a couple comments in the chat for you.
Yeah.
Amanda says that she believes that Liana has more information from THPRD.
And Liana is on the agenda.
Okay, cool. You do you.
But also very helpful to be keeping an eye on the chat. So thank you, Kevin. All right, so city update. Let me pull this up here. So what's happening on 5th Street? Mayor Lacey Beatty, this has already happened. With help from project experts, provided an overview and listened to questions from community members on the 5th Street happenings. The virtual event was held on April 1st and included information on the fountain renovation at City Park, the senior affordable housing project, and book corner prospects. A video of the event is currently accessible online at beavertonoregon.gov/5th Street projects, and I'll put that link in the chat. And it has an overview of each project as well as the Q&A that was part of the event. These projects support Beaverton's community-driven vision for a more dynamic city center with better access to equitable services. All right, next up is regarding city manager recruitment. So the search for the city's administrative lead who will report to city council on the operation of services and programs continues. A community survey is live through mid-April to gather public input on key initiatives and desired qualities to guide hiring. Opportunities to meet the finalists will occur. An appointment is expected in summer. And you can learn more about that at beavertonoregon.gov/city manager. I'll also put that link in the chat. And then the shelter is extended through May. The Beaverton Severe Weather Shelter has extended operations through May 31st to continue support for area adults experiencing homelessness and in response to COVID-19. Just Compassion of East Washington County will continue to operate the shelter using funding provided by Washington County. The shelter will be the only site in the county to maintain operations in a group setting with staff and resources available to enrolled participants. Together with relief shelters offering individualized space, there will be a countywide capacity to serve nearly 160 adults aged 18 years and older. Beaverton Shelter opened for its 5th season in November 2020 with expanded operations to include continuous 24 hours, 7 days per week services for up to 30 adults on an enrollment basis. Shelter guests are provided with meals, showers, access to resources, and referral to social services. Referral for adults in need can be enrolled by contacting Community Connect at 503-640-3263 or visiting www.co.washington.or.us/homeless. Families can access the shelter network by calling 503-640-3263. I'll put all of that in the chat. The shelter is not currently taking volunteers or donations at this time, but those interested can check the website for future needs. And for more information and updates about the shelter, visit beavertonoregon.gov/shelter. And then Jonathan already gave a great update about the spring voters forum, so I'll leave it at that. Are there any questions on anything that I mentioned? And Amanda, I will send that to you to include with the minutes.
Any questions for Franziska? No comments? Great, thank you very much. And I don't know if you were also running the Fifth Street update, but it seemed to go fairly smoothly and it had good community engagement. And hopefully everyone, hopefully many of you had the chance to either view or participate.
It was behind the scenes on that project, yes.
Excellent. Couldn't have done it without you.
But I do just want to note for folks that are watching the video, like post-event, obviously that weren't there live, there is a feedback button on the 5th Street Projects webpage. So if you watch the video and you want to provide feedback on any of the projects, there is the means to do that directly from the website. So, and it can be done anonymously.
Very good to know. If there are any community members who are attending this meeting because of topics that were presented there, do know that that at least 2/3 of those projects have appeared in one form or another at this NAC. You do have this forum as an input. That's in fact one of its primary purposes, and that if there is enough of a community will to see a change to something, there are also processes and appeal processes that are available to us formally as a NAC. So it's, if you want to get involved because you don't like the way something's going on, this is pretty much the primary place to have your voice heard. So we encourage you to come and let us know. And with that being said, let's move on to the March minutes. Any board members have, or anyone see anything that needed editing or amending? No? All right. Let's go ahead and just move to accept minutes as written.
I will move to accept the minutes as written.
Brilliant.
I second that motion.
I know you
Or
did. You
move,
did that. Excellent. Fantastic. The move is to accept March minutes as submitted by Amanda. All in favor? Indicate in some way.
Aye.
1, 2, 3. Okay, here you can see. Great. That passes because we got a quorum, so great. And Quinn cannot be with us for the treasurer report. He did pass along that information to me. We received a $500 grant from the city of Beaverton that went out to all the NACs since they had no, not a lot of activity. So wanted to get money out into the community. So with that included, there are no expected payouts. Our final balance was $6,326.04. Amanda, I have put that in the chat so that you can write down the balance. And that brings us to the end of officers report. And now I will turn it over to Liana Harden from THPRD to let us know about what's happening at Eichler Park.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Tom. I am so glad to be here. I've never been at this NAC before. My name is Liana. I work in community engagement. I actually work a lot with Lulú. So tonight I'm going to be talking about Eichler Park and the bike track. I do have a short PowerPoint presentation. I'm not sure if that's okay if I share my screen.
Please do.
Right. And am I able to do that? Oh yes, there we are. Great. Thank you. Okay, maybe just a thumbs up that you can see my screen. Beautiful. So you should see Eichler Park there. So yeah, we at THPRD, we had a really exciting opportunity come in front of us. So one of the things that's come up is that the Northwest Trail Alliance has come to us with a volunteer project that they wanted to do at Eichler Park. And they've requested the approval to do this volunteer project, which is really about modifying the existing bike track there. Just as a quick show of hands for those of you who are on camera, has anybody heard of this project so far? Okay, I see at least one. Okay, so I have to confess that I'm not actually the project manager on this project. I am just doing the community engagement, supporting with that. The project manager is Cameron Hall, and I'll provide his email at the end. So if anybody has any questions, you can reach out directly to him. I'm also happy to record questions myself and get back to you, whether that's through Lulú or email, whatever works best. Yeah, Northwest Trail Alliance came to us asking approval to do this volunteer project to modify the existing bike track, which I'll tell you a little bit more about. And so our role at THPRD is really about engaging the community around this project, seeing what people think of the project. And then we're also considering some additional park improvements, just really small improvements that we're thinking about. So the current challenges that have brought this project forward, as some of you may know, the bike track is heavily used. There are a variety of skill levels trying to use the bike track. And as of right now, there's no one clearly defined main entrance. There are kind of multiple entrances throughout the park. And so that has led the Northwest Trail Alliance to propose a solution, which is to move the bike track south about 20 to 30 feet at the most. And that in that moving to also reduce the terrain height. And as a result, to better support all skill levels coming to that bike track, create a little bit more space between riders and the different courses, and then improve the overall functionality of the bike track. And so on THPRD and D's end, so we're thinking about park and safety improvements. Specifically, we're looking at converting the south side into a single main entrance. That way we'd encourage visitors to enter at that central location instead of multiple locations. So hopefully increasing safety there. We'd also move the kiosk and the rule sign to that main entrance. We would capitalize on a new shaded space between the tracks that would we'd have after the moving of the track would create a little resting area. So we're thinking about adding a couple picnic tables to that area for a resting space in the shade. And then we would want to extend the split rail fence southward to maintain a safety barrier between cyclists and other park visitors. So that is the gist of that project. And again, I want to make sure that you all feel comfortable to reach out to Cameron if you have any specific questions. Happy to take questions now. But before we jump into questions, last thing I want to mention is that we are going to put out a survey at the middle of this month. We'd love to hear your input, whether that's through the survey, through email, or through Lulú, whatever's easiest for you all. And we'll have that survey coupled with a video online. And I want to ask some questions from you all about that video. But before I end with that, I'd like to open it up for questions from you all to see what more information I might be able to gather for you, or what kinds of questions you have.
The floor is open to questions for Liana.
How long would the park be closed, or like the track be closed for the reconstruction?
That's a really good question. In fact, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to stop my screen share so I can see you a little bit better. There we are. And so the actual closing of the park, I have those dates and I will put them in the chat for you so you could have them on record. Let me grab those. As I'm grabbing those, any other questions that come up for you all?
So I just want to be clear on this. This is a complete, is this just an expansion of the facilities, or is this basically a tear down of the existing track and a new track in essence, a new facility is going to be constructed?
It would not be a good question. It would not be a totally new track. It would actually be just a small part of the track that would be pulled southward. So it would just be extended. So part of this track would still stay in existence, and just extending that track to provide a little bit more space.
So on the whole, the actual track facility is being, like feature is being expanded a little bit, or is it staying about the same? Okay.
It would be expanded a little bit, and then the height would be lowered on the track. Yeah, what other questions?
Approximately how many users per day, per week does the facility see?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't actually know the answer to that.
Or I mean, I drive by occasionally and I do see it in use, and it's great. I haven't personally visited that facility myself, but I like having that in my neighborhood, and I like to know how well utilized things are.
Yeah. So I'm putting in the chat that the park will be closed, is expected to be closed from May 1st to 30th, but not solidly closed that whole time. It'll be open and close on occasion. Intermittently. Any other questions? All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the chat. This is the project webpage where you'll be able to find the survey and any other information under the improvements tab there. So you'll also find the contact information for Cameron if you'd like to ask him questions. Of course, you're always welcome to reach out to me. The one question I'm going to take back is how many users per day, week, or month do we see at that track? And beyond questions, is there any initial feedback on the project, concerns? Anybody excited about the project? Okay, excellent. In that case, one of the things that we're looking to do in the next week is we're hoping to tell the story of what this project is. And in order to do that, we're going to go out and we're going to video the site. We're going to show in the video what kinds of changes we're looking at. We're going to have a board member out talking about it. We'll have Cameron out talking about it. And if anybody from this NAC is interested in talking about this project and how it might affect you all or the neighborhood, we would love to have your participation in that. And if you're interested in that at all, I can put you in touch with our media staff and who will be doing that video. Is there someone with the NAC who'd be interested in that, whether that's just a neighbor or somebody in the NAC itself?
Anyone here that either uses or knows someone or knows someone who knows someone who uses the facility regularly? You know what? There is a former board member that I can reach out to and see if he has any. He lives a little closer to it, and he may know, if he doesn't use it, he may know somebody who does. So
that'd be fantastic.
I
Thank you
will
so much.
absolutely.
All right, well, thank you all so much. And do please reach out if you have any questions or concerns that come up. Oh, Kevin.
Yeah, I have one question. So I read Bike Portland a lot, the local biking organization. They might be interested in doing some sort of blog article about this and encouraging people to give feedback to you all.
Oh, nice. Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, I do know that that facility is kind of unique in the area, and it does get users from not just our neighborhood or even Beaverton itself. So kudos on that.
Thank you all so much. I really appreciate the time.
Absolutely. And just a question from Amanda in the chat. Liana, would you mind putting your contact information so that she can put in the minutes?
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Excellent. Any last call for questions or comments from panelists or attendees? Okay, great. Thank you very much, Liana, for joining us. And we look forward to hearing either updates from you or Lulú, or just going and seeing what the new facilities look like. But hopefully we'll be in contact with you before then about the public engagement.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you very much. All right, and now, finally, thank you all. I apologize, we're running about 10 minutes late, 10 minutes behind, but thank you all for sticking with us. We had the request from Jeanette Schade to come and talk about her candidacy for Beaverton School District. I believe it's position 1, which is at large, and of course includes all of us. So. In fairness, the city of Beaverton requires that we offer the opportunity to the opponents, to any other candidates for the position, to have equal time. So tonight we have both Jeanette Schade and Susan Greenberg, who are both the current candidates for that position. And the way that we have things allotted right now, this is kind of my first candidate visit, so I've left it very free form. Each of you will have 20 minutes to speak and for questions. You can apportion that however you like. The request I think that the city has that they wanted to pass on is to please, I know we're not looking to set up a debate necessarily, so if the candidates could please refrain from engaging during their opponent's Q&A time, and we'll leave that to the community. And other than that, I will give each of you a 2-minute warning as we're approach the end of your time, and I will go ahead and start a timer now and turn the meeting over to Jeanette Schade.
Thank you very much, Tom. I appreciate you having me here, and Franziska and Miles for helping getting this set up as well. So just to introduce myself a little bit, my name is Jeanette Schade. I know the spelling and the pronunciation don't quite go together. You can thank my German ancestors or my husband's German ancestors for that. And so just think of if you're a hunter or whatnot, it's like I shot a deer. And that's the best way to kind of explain that one that I found the best anyway. I am not a hunter. So I've been in education for 23 years. I have worked as a teacher's assistant and then moved on to be a substitute teacher once I got my bachelor's degree in liberal studies, which is code word for elementary education. And then I moved on to Oregon back in 2005 to Central Oregon. And OSU had their very first cohort in Central Oregon at OSU Cascade campus for the master's program and the teaching credential program together. So I had about 3 weeks to get all my information together, apply, and get it in to be accepted there. Went through a rigorous interview process and was accepted and got my teacher credential. So I started teaching English to middle school and high school kids. Shortly after that at Gilchrist School, then the economy tanked and my husband, I ended up losing my job, last one hired, first one to be let go type of situation. And my husband was about ready to lose his job as well as things tanked in 2008 through 2010. And we moved back to California, where I taught in a 95% Black charter school, which was very rewarding to see so many people succeed and get through into colleges. I had the privilege of being a 12th grade advisory teacher to students who are going into college. So I helped them with college entrance exams, helped them with their college essays and things like that. Then I went and taught at a public rural school in California, and then we moved to Texas. And I worked in Texas for 6 years and at a alternative campus. So I was working with some students who had some behavioral difficulties. Some of them had criminal records and things like that. But that was also very rewarding as well to work with them. To move on from there, we moved back to Oregon in October 2019 to the Beaverton Tigard area. And my son was put into the Beaverton School District and at Aloha High School to begin with. They had a very good program set up for him at Aloha to work with his 504 that he has. He does have some mental health issues as well. And then we moved to Southridge High School area, which is in the Zone 1 area. And the support wasn't as good. And so I made the decision 1 week before the pandemic to pull my son from the Beaverton School District so he could get his grades back up. He was a straight A student and ended up, his grades started suffering big time. And with the lack of support he was receiving. And it was very concerning to me as a parent and as an educator. I did reach out to the school board, the superintendent, the principal, and it was very difficult. I'll just put it that way. So made the decision 1 week before Governor Brown shut everything down to put him into an online charter school to help him get his grades up, with the intention of him going back to Southridge the following school year. Had no idea schools were going to be shut down. And it has created, as many of you know, as with parents in school, it has created a lot of other issues on top of that. So this opportunity, I did renew my credential here in Oregon with the intention of going back into the classroom after a soft retirement in 2017. so I could help my teenage kids through some difficulties they were going through at the time. And 2 are now graduated from high school. And then I have my son, who I'm hoping to get back into Southridge as soon as we open schools full time. And this opportunity came up and I decided to go ahead and run for the Beaverton School District. And my platform is to fully and safely open schools a full 5 days. The CDC has stated the 3-foot rule is okay. Oregon Department of Education has adopted the 3-foot rule. And as the email came out from DSD last week, they're not going to open up full time. And for their reasonings, they're talking about the discussions with the union. And the next thing is to restore objective and age-appropriate sexual education to the classrooms. The comprehensive sexuality education is not okay. Teachers are not psychologists, they are not therapists, and to have comprehensive sexuality education in the schools as low as kindergarten is putting teachers in a position that they really don't need to be put in. I have talked to several teachers in the Beaverton School District, including some kindergarten and 2nd grade teachers who are not comfortable with teaching some of the curriculum that has been adopted by Beaverton School District, and parents want to opt their children out. But when it's a comprehensive, it means it goes across curriculum. So it's not just set in a health science setting where it should be set. And it should also be set at older grade levels and not all the way down to kindergarten. So parents do need that opt-out option. And it also needs to be put back in the parents' laps as well. The next thing is to make sure we have balanced and historically accurate history curriculum. Currently, with critical race theory coming into the schools, I was able to attend the community discussion on race and ethnicity that Beaverton School District had roughly 3 weeks now ago. And I attended the Going Beneath Your Whiteness seminar, and I was shocked at what I heard. This was from a teacher in Beaverton School District, and it is recorded. You can go and watch it yourself. And then the second one I went to had to do with the Black Lives Matter organization education website that they put forth, and the 13 principles that that they have on their site. And I find it appalling that Beaverton School District is allowing a political organization to come in with their curriculum, which the school board is supposed to approve or disapprove a curriculum. And I don't believe that they've approved of this. I could be wrong on that aspect. But going to the Black Lives Matter Incorporated education website and looking over the 13 edicts, you'll find that they want to disband the nuclear family, among other things. And we need nuclear families, 2 parents with the children in the home, whatever those 2 parents look like in the home. And I understand there's some parents who are single family homes due to circumstances in their own lives, but we need to make sure we get the politics out of school and let school go back to the basics of reading, writing, arithmetic, art, music, and get the political and social ideologies out. And the school board has that job to make sure that that functions in that realm as they adopt or get rid of curriculum. The last thing is to increase the career and technical education program within the district. The district, Oregon as a whole, is a bottom quarter in the country educationally. And Beaverton District, their graduation rate is not that good, especially among students who are of the people of color population. I believe it's the Latino population is 77% graduation rate from the last statistics I saw from last school year. And that was given out by the state on their report cards. And the overall graduation rate is in the mid 80s, I believe. With a career and technical education program, we can expand the student's education to where if a student isn't ready to go to college or want to go to college upon graduating high school, that they can build skills within their school day, to teach them, let's say, welding or wood shop or cosmetology or mechanics. And Beaverton School District does have some career and technical education program courses, but it needs to be expanded. So not only are we retaining students for graduation, but we are also making sure that they are graduating with employable skills, so they're immediately employable upon graduation as well. And when I worked in Texas, we had a very robust career and technical education program, and the graduation rate in the district I happen to work in was 95%, which is much higher. And that's what we need here in Beaverton School District, is to help that graduation rate increase, especially among our people of color. And with that, that is my platform, and I welcome any questions that you may have. You're muted, Tom. There you go.
There we go. Are there any questions for our candidate? All right, well, I'll get things started off. So I've got a new child won't be going into schools for several years. So, but I'm starting to become interested in what the school district is doing. So you're running it as a new candidate. Can you tell me, and you've listed a lot of things of faults that you see with the school district. Can you tell me that anything that you see that Beaverton School District does right?
Yeah, with some of the career and technical education program aspects they have with the partnerships with the community, they're going in the right direction on there. And we just need to build up and make it more robust. There is some legislation. There's legislation that has come down, I believe it was in 2018-19 timeframe, to put money into there. And there's currently legislation going right now to help increase that as well. I do like the fact that Beaverton has been building that back up, and we need to continue to build it back up.
Thank you. And then I think kind of into what this Chris Waddell asks, and please, if I am misinterpreting this question, he asks, do you work with community partners to build the CTE programs? And I don't know if that may be asking if that's your intent.
Yes, building a CTE program does require working with community partners, and it will require to reach out to businesses, for example, like Intel or Nike or some other businesses, to help with that, and also to hire, for example, mechanics who are in the field, to be able to have them come in and help teach students in that aspect. And there are teachers who do have the background in, let's say, mechanics, car maintenance and things like that, that are also teachers as well.
Todd, you're muted.
Again.
Yep.
Dory King asks, how will you support implementing ethnic studies in Beaverton School District?
I got muted. There are many programs out there that can bring in ethnic studies. We can also bring in parents and community leaders and students to build up a curriculum if there's curriculums out there that we don't like. But one such program is called Open Minds. It is much more inclusive. They teach tolerance, they teach community building and accepting of individual differences to build each other up, versus the materials that I have been seeing through critical race theory. It's to divide. So there's a difference between equity and equality. Equity is where we, and people get them mixed up quite often. Equity is where we put one group over another for whatever the reason may be. So with critical race theory, when you're asked to check your whiteness, whatever that means, whether it's skin color or your thought process or whatever the case may be, that is putting groups above another. In this case, having people question an immutable quality about them with the color of their skin is not okay. We need to have people working together despite something they have no control over. And that's what Open Minds does. There are several other programs out there like that I've been looking into as well. But using the Black Lives Matter incorporated education, which curriculum is not building up, it's actually divisive. I have talked to students when I'm out campaigning in many different areas of Beaverton School District who feel they cannot speak up in their classrooms based upon the information that teachers are sharing with them. And that's not how it should be. A classroom should be a safe haven for learning and for all ideas to be shared and garnered, and for a teacher to bring in all different sides of the discussion and allow students to make up their own opinions from there. But having to build up a curriculum that is inclusive and not divisive is very important. And I want to be very clear. Black Lives Matter lowercase, yes, 100%. Black Lives Matter capital case with incorporated, they are a self-proclaimed Marxist political organization that has no business being in schools.
Are there any further questions?
I have a quick question. Can you provide a link, or I'm curious to see what educational materials it is that you're objecting to?
Yeah, I'll provide that link to you.
Thanks.
Yeah. I'm also going to put my website in the chat, or not my website, sorry, my email at Jeanette@buildbackbasics.com. If you have any further questions, that you can email me there, and I will get that website in there as well.
And we have about 2.5 minutes now total for any further questions, or if you'd like to, if you have anything further that you'd like to add. Jeanette.
I just want to say, with my educational background, I would be one of the only school board members with an background in education, being in the classrooms. I understand the challenges and rewards of being a teacher in the classroom. It has been one of the most rewarding things that I've done in my career, is working with students at all levels, from kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade. And I've had the unique opportunity of working in 3 different states in many different types of schools to see the many different aspects. And it is very rewarding to see people working together to build up a community, working to make sure that classrooms are safe havens for learning and not places where students don't feel safe.
All right, still got another minute if you like. Otherwise, you're welcome to, of course, cede if you prefer.
I think I'm good. I just want to make sure that, yeah, I think I'm good. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. We will now turn things over to her opponent, Susan Greenberg, currently the current district representative for District 1. And you have 20 minutes to use as you please. I will let you know when 2 minutes remain.
Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today. Also found it interesting to find out what's going on in the downtown Beaverton area. So thanks for that opportunity as well. I'm looking forward to going to all the restaurants. So I have been a parent in the school district. I can't do the math. My son is now 24 years old. He started at Montclair Elementary School in first grade. So if someone can do the math, that's 17 years. Oh, I did it. I'm so proud. And I have a 24-year-old and an 18-year-old. Both of them have gone through the school district. I was president of the Montclair PTO, and I was president of the as International School of Beaverton PTO. I was, in my long time in the school district, I started being concerned about the lack of funding of education for schools. So I got involved in advocating at the state level. I got involved with Stand for Children in 2009 when things were really rocky in our state. I was on the budget committee of Beaverton School District prior to joining the board. I sadly was on the budget committee when we had to cut, I think it was 300 teachers in 2011, which was a very, very, very sad time. I don't know if any of you were around during that time, but it was a very sad time to see teachers leaving, teachers going to schools that are teaching at levels they shouldn't have been teaching at. It was very traumatic for a lot of our kids. I've been on the school board for 8 years. Very proud of what I've done on the school board. I put kids first. I put those kids that don't have a voice. I make sure those voices are heard. It's very important to me. I feel like there's so many barriers out there in their families that I want to make sure that they get heard. This year of COVID has been really, really hard on our students, our parents, our teachers. I want to make sure that they get back into the school safely. I know that today was a big day in Beaverton School District because our kindergarten, first grade, second graders started back at school. It's not what we want. We want our kids back full time. It's better. Some students have decided to stay home. Some are going back to school. It's not an easy answer. I know there's still restrictions there at the state level that make it hard to have everybody back at school at the same time. I have been part of 2 levies in the school district that passed that enabled us to hire 300 teachers and to keep those teachers. Have been part of a bond that created jobs for our Beaverton community, as well as new schools for schools that were dilapidated, like Vos Elementary School, that was just falling apart. And it really wasn't that old, but it was falling apart. And talk about an unequitable school. These kids were the poorest schools in our district, Title I school, and they were in a school that was just abhorrent. So I'm very proud of the fact that I was part of a bond that could rebuild Vos Elementary School and 3 other Title I schools, along with a high school, rebuilding ACMA, and it's all being done on time. I'm very passionate about our kids, and I want to take care of our kids and our students and our parents and our teachers. It's all I can, in terms of my experience, I'm very proud, like I said, of being on the board, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
All right. Are there questions for Susan Greenberg? Well, then I will go ahead and pop right in. So you have been a longtime sitting member of Beaverton School District Board. So what is Beaverton School District Board doing wrong?
Doing wrong. Well, I'm not going to say, I wouldn't say we're doing anything wrong. I think we always learn. We manage the budget. The budget of the school district is difficult. I think everybody thinks with all the money coming in that is coming from the state, the federal, that we have all this money. Yes, we do, but it's like one time non-sustainable money that's coming in that hopefully we can bridge the gap for our kids that are coming in at a loss. But we are gonna, you know, hard to believe it, but we're gonna struggle if the state doesn't fund at a higher level than they're planning at right now. You know, over the years, I can't say that, you know, we've done things perfectly, but we work hard. I am really proud of the district. We do have a really robust CTE program in our district. Every school has something. Lower high school has a award-winning auto tech program. Westview High School has a woodworking program for their students, construction. Mountainside partnered with the construction companies and they have an amazing construction CTE program. Beaverton High School has an amazing healthcare program for their students, and their students can get CNA accreditation with the Beaverton High School CTE program. So there's, you know, again, we're certainly not perfect in our district. I would never say we are, but we strive to do a good job. And we do to try to look at every single kid and get those kids, students that their voices aren't being heard.
All right. We have several questions in the chat now, and I'll go by approximate timestamp. First one from the Q&A, what are your thoughts on school resource officers?
It's a really good question. Especially, so with school resource officers, the way I feel about it is, I'm going to say complicated. I think, including the city of Beaverton, you know, we need to have police officers. But I do think, you know, I heard the officers speak earlier about the city of Beaverton's partnering with mental health for support. And I think that is definitely the way it should be happening in our high schools. And I think our students need to feel safe in our schools. I think that our police officers need to be trained. And if they're not, they shouldn't be there.
All right, Chris Waddell, I see you've got several questions. Why don't you, I'm going to ask your first one and then go to the other participants' questions and then come back to your others if they're assuming that there's time. So his first question, or the Chris Waddell, I apologize if I misgendered you. What's your position on critical race theory being taught in schools?
I think critical race theory should be taught in schools.
That is a very concise answer.
Yes.
Sarah Lynn Dougal asks or says, I love that Susan puts kids first. I'd love to hear about how she helps the kids' voices be heard.
Well, one thing is, before COVID, I would go to schools and I would listen to our kids. You know, I'd visit Southridge High School, meet with David Islamic and meet with the kids to know what's going on. You know, so, you know, I have kids that I listen to. I have neighbors I go to talk to who have kids in schools. You know, I talk to teachers all the time and find out what is going on and how difficult it is for them to teach in an environment where it's all online. It's about listening. It's making that phone call to the parent that's reaching out to you saying, hey, my kid's having issues. You know, I can tell you my own experience with my own children in school. Both my kids have had mental health issues. My daughter had a hard time in high school, didn't really make it in high school. She's had her own path. So I recognize the fact that students have their own path, that maybe with mental health issues, that a big comprehensive high school isn't the right choice for them. And I know that. Harder for kids that don't have the resources that my kid has. So I want to make sure that our kids have the resources they need to make it through school. I understand, kids have issues with, anxiety and depression. I want to make sure they have someone to talk to.
All right, moving on, Dory King says, how will you support implementing ethnic studies in Beaverton School District, considering that it will be implemented pre-K through 12?
I'm not sure if, I mean, we already have curriculum. You know, you're not sure where that question's coming from. You know, in terms of, is it the social studies curriculum? I don't know exactly. I think you're on mute.
Every time. Dory King, do you have any clarification there? Susan, I believe you have access to the chat as well in case you would like a closer reading of this. Just how will you support implementing ethnic studies in Beaverton School District, considering that it will be implemented pre-K through 12?
Well, I mean, in terms of my job as a school board member, it's not the actual implementation of curriculum. It's to, you know, vote on the curriculum, you know, that's being presented to us. So I actually don't have any voice in terms of implementation. You know, I am on like certain committees at times when they're choosing a curriculum, but in terms of implementation, that's not my lane.
Susan, thank you for that. And the reason I asked the question is that ethnic studies programs have been mandated by the state. So the state has mandated these programs. The question oftentimes becomes, how will the resources be used? And this gets to the financial piece that you were talking about with budgeting. What financial resources would you suggest based on what you currently understand ethnic study programs to require?
Well, again, you know, in terms of like how the money's spent, we kind of do the big level kind of, okay, here's, you know, a certain amount of money that's going to teaching and learning. It's not like when I see the budget, there's a line, you know, there's many, many pages to that budget, but I don't see that line item for ethnic studies. And honestly, I would have to ask how it's being implemented at Beaverton School District to know exactly how it's being implemented. In terms of ethnic studies, so I really don't have the answer.
Appreciate your answer because it shows that you're clearly going to do more research on it. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
And I will. Or in fact, if you put your email in the chat, I'll write it down and get back to you on it.
Chris Waddell, I see that you still have questions. I wanted to make sure we had opportunity for other attendees to ask a question before you go on to subsequent questions. Does anyone else from the board or attending have questions? All right, then Chris's next question was, what is your position on comprehensive sexuality education being taught in schools, especially grades K through 5?
Hold on a second. I'm sorry I'm just writing Dory's email down. I am in support of it, and I voted to support the curriculum in our schools. I know, you know, it's age appropriate, or I feel it's age appropriate.
I will hop in here for my own edification. How much control over the specific in-class curriculum does the actual district have over the state?
Over the state? The state, you know, will give you, you know, their guidelines and what the curriculum is. We can choose certain platforms. And again, in terms of how that curriculum is taught in the classroom is not up to the school board. We adopt the curriculum, but it's up to the district as how it's distributed and taught to the teachers to teach the kids.
All right, thank you for that personal clarification.
Yeah.
Chris Waddell had an additional question. How can Beaverton School District respond to the low graduation rates, and then editing that, saying in Oregon?
Well, I do have to say that our graduation rates in Beaverton have always been higher than the state's. And this last year, overall, I think our graduation rates were at 90%. Of course, we want, you know, all our students to graduate, and that every single category increased in our district in terms of graduation rates last year. So that was really exciting, but there's always work to be done in terms of helping our kids. And I do believe that with COVID this year, there's going to be a lot of kids struggling to graduate on time and even to graduate at all. And I think we need to look at that and think of how we're helping our kids individually to not make them feel like they're failing, to make them feel like this has been a really tough 2 years. We want to help you. We have the resource. This is, my goal, to have the resources to help these students, to boost them up so that they don't feel like a failure because they failed a certain class. I mean, some kids don't have access to, online. Some kids have multiple siblings trying to compete for a computer. So it has been a really tough time, and we have to be open-minded and look at things differently.
All right. Further questions for Susan Greenberg? Or you have about 3.5 minutes left of your time. If there's other things that anything else that you would like to expound on?
Well, I do have an email I can pop in here if you want to get in touch with me, if you have any questions. I don't know if any of you have kids in the district. I'd be glad to help you with any of that. But I'm going to type in my email address, Susan for Beaverton Schools @gmail.com. If I can spell, that's the hardest part right now. It's late. If you have any other questions, I'd be glad to answer.
I do have another question.
Okay.
What are the priorities that go into determining school boundaries?
Oh, wow. That was a topic. We had a 3-hour work session today, and that was one of the discussions is, in the plan, looking at the long range planning, looking at boundary changes. And I don't know if you were around for the high school boundary issue. There's the board comes up with a parameter for boundaries. And of course, things are changing in our district because, Beaverton is made up of Washington County, unincorporated Washington County, and the city of Beaverton. So that kind of makes it kind of strange too. But the growth is happening over in Westview area. And then it's happening over in Mountainside area. And then there's been a flatness just about everywhere else, including, central NAC, Beaverton NAC.
Yeah, and I will say that you now have 2 minutes remaining to answer,
Okay.
to condense it all, of course.
Yeah. But there's a lot of things that are taken into consideration when it comes to boundary changes. And it is no doubt very emotional because, you want to stay with the high school that let's say it's Beaverton High School. A lot of people wanted to stay at Beaverton High School. They didn't want to go to Southridge High School because there was this history of that elementary school for, 100 years. I'm not kidding, going to Beaverton High School. So there's a lot of emotion around boundary changes. But definitely, everything Beaverton does is through the lens of equity. So
you would say that equity is one of the key, the primary parameter.
Well, it's one of them. I mean, there's conflicting parameters too, because, you also have to look at proximity to school, walking distance, so at times there's conflicting parameters. So it's not an easy task. And no matter what you do, it's not the right thing for one group of people.
That's fair. And I will give you the option to answer this last question in the 30 seconds or so that you have remaining. Considering other states have fully opened schools, do you think Oregon students are at a disadvantage with continued distance learning as they compete for seats at colleges and universities?
Well, it's a good question. I'd like to think that our colleges and universities are looking at the way the pandemic has been, and different states have been impacted in different ways, that they are looking at how they have their application process, and they look at different ways of students applying for colleges. Because, you know, the ACT is wasn't taken this year. Some kids took the SATs. Do they use the SATs?
And that is the end of your time.
Okay, well, thank you.
All right. And a jolly good effort on fitting all that in 30 seconds. So thank you to the ticket candidates for approaching me to participate and attend the CBNAC meeting. If any attendees or whatnot, I believe both of the candidates put their contact information or whatnot into the chat, so you can follow up with them at your leisure. And just a reminder that there is a Beaverton School District Voters Forum that will be happening the day before the Beaverton. So you will have the Voters Forum so that you will have further opportunity to engage with the candidates next month. So great. Let's go ahead and move on then to subcommittee reports. And I can tell you from the Arts Subcommittee, we did not have the opportunity to meet, so I have nothing to report. Make that easy. Is there anybody from Arts that wants to say anything?
No, we don't have anything to report this month.
All right, no art today. I know sustainability did something, but I will turn it over to sustainability.
Yeah, we had a meeting. We met again with Reggie, who presented from the Highland NAC last month. Let me just go to my notes here. So the plan is, so our meeting was focused on discussing the MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, that our NACs will agree to, that being Highland NAC, the SNAC, as well as THPRD. Reggie, we went over the drafted MOU, and we're still in the process of reading over it, giving any feedback. And the plan is that once everyone from the subcommittee and the Highland counterpart has looked over it, we'll probably take it to THPRD for their review, since they will probably have the most edits and changes likely that they want to see. And then that MOU will be presented to the full board for edits and approval. We also discussed some other events and initiatives that we are still in the process of researching.
Great. And I know that, did you forward I know that I received the link for the MOU draft currently, but I don't know if you would pass that to the rest of the board yet or not.
I have not. I can do that though.
That's good. I think Reggie may have just forwarded that to me. And that's totally fine. I mean, that's the reason we got the subcommittee, so that you guys can hash it all out and then leave it to the board to adopt when you feel it's finalized. So, but so far it seems pretty straightforward. But I understand that there's many more details to.
Yeah, I think we're expecting like THPRD will probably have a lot more things to say about it at this point.
Great. Okay. Well, that brings us to the end of subcommittee reports, and the only new business I didn't find any old business on minutes or agendas. So if I'm missing something, please pipe up and let me know. The only new business that we had to address was Rachel Phillip has fulfilled the requirements that our bylaws state, and has for board membership, and has expressed interest to becoming a new board member. So we have a quorum currently. We can vote, and all. So if I can get maybe a motion here to.
I'll jump in, Tom.
Do it.
Rachel, I've really appreciated your comments and your insights ever since you first started coming. And I am really excited that you actually now be official. So I would love to make a motion to approve Rachel as an official board member now.
Rachel's thebomb.com, so I'll second that motion. I'm
All
excited
right, a
to have
second from the East Coast. Fantastic. And Kinsey was able to stick around with us this week.
I know. I got excited by the debate.
Motion on the floor to accept Rachel Phillip as a board member at large. All those in favor, indicate in some manner, verbal or otherwise, your yay or nay. Yay, you are
Yay.
accepted unanimously. Welcome to the board. And for those in attendance who are Beaverton, Central Beaverton NAC members, I will remind you, as stated at the beginning, anyone who resides, owns property, operates a business, or can represent a nonprofit organization is automatically a general member of the Neighborhood Association Committee. The board does all of the formal voting business, manages funds and whatnot. The general membership has a voice towards that, but any general member can become a board member if you attend 3 consecutive meetings. That is the entire extent of requirements for membership. You have to show up. That's and then you have to continue showing up. So if you're interested in showing up and you want a formal voice on the business that the board considers or that the NAC considers, join us. We have lots of room still. So with that in mind, thank you for bringing us closer to our maximum. And I just now realized that I completely and totally dropped the ball on inviting another business member of the area to come in and hopefully participate. But I don't think Paul Thornton will be that mad at me because he just doesn't seem like that kind of guy. Anyway, so that brings us to the end of formal NAC business. I will open up now and give everybody in attendance the ability to speak. So I will open up the floor to any members or attendees who have announcements, comments, or concerns before we wrap up. I know there was at least 1 or 2 members who wanted to say something. I believe Sarah Lynn Dougal would like to address us.
Hey, Tom, thanks. Yes, my name is Sarah Lynn Dougal, and I'm running for Beaverton School District Zone 4. Really glad to be able to participate in your meeting. I'll keep it really brief. I know it's time to go. So it was after attending the Beaverton School District community meeting about race that I decided to run for the Beaverton School District. I left the meeting, and so did many other parents, feeling really concerned about the rhetoric, and I began researching CRT and its impact across the nation. And it is, as I have found, very divisive. And so I am against CRT, and I would encourage each of you to look it up and find out from both sides what is going on with CRT, because it is a problem. I was just talking to a friend, a mother the other day. Her kindergartner came home saying, "Mom, I'm bad because I'm white." And I think that that's a problem. I find that very disconcerting. So if that's the message that's being sent, then that's not the message we want to send. That's not what Martin Luther King fought for. Martin Luther King was saying, let's not judge people on their skin, but instead on the content of their character. And that's where we need to be. Susan Green mentioned that there are struggling students due to COVID. Absolutely. And her heart goes out to them. And I appreciate the work and effort that she has put into working on the school board. But it's exactly for this reason that we need to open the schools. The 3-foot distance has already been brought and made available to us. And yet our school district is not moving our schools into a 3-foot distance, because they said in an email that they sent out recently, because they've already made an agreement with the union. So they're putting the union above the needs of the students. I find that very upsetting. And I have 3 students in the schools right now, and I want them to have success. And I want their peers to have success. I want all of the children to be able to have success. And there are many other things I would love to talk to you about as well, but I will leave it at that and encourage you to do your research. This is an important vote. This is not going to only impact you and the people around you, but it is going to impact our community going forward in the future as well. We don't want divisiveness. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sarah Lynn Dougal, and thank you for keeping that concise. Are there other member or attendee comments?
Tom, I just have a question real quick. I don't know if Sarah Lynn, you might know, or anybody, but is there a website to go to where I can learn the exact curriculum being taught in CRT and the comprehensive sexuality topic that was discussed tonight? Does anybody know?
I can, so any curriculum that a district puts forth, and this is for any state in the United States, parents should have the opportunity to go and look at that curriculum, peruse the curriculum, and they should be given the opportunity at the district office is typically where you would go for that. I don't know how they're working it for the COVID aspect, but actually any And then you don't have to be a parent. You don't have to have kids in the school. Any tax-paying citizen of the district can go look at the curriculum on their own of what they're
Got it.
teaching. Now,
Thank you.
here's one other aspect, Kinsey, that I do want to touch on is when I talked to Becky Timchuk, who is the chair of the board currently, about the Black Lives Matter education curriculum after going to that meeting, or sorry, is before going to that meeting, I was given an answer that it was not, it was a very convoluted answer, let's put it that way,
Okay.
to where it appears to not be approved by the board, and the board, the curriculum that's taught in classrooms does need to be approved by the board. Teachers do have some leeway on things that they could bring in, but they need to work as a team and also get some approval. At least when I was in the classroom, had to get approval from the administrator when we were bringing stuff outside of district approved curriculum.
Got it. Okay, thank you very much. That's it.
All right, thank you for that that informative feedback. Last call for.
I have a question.
Yes, this is Jolene.
My name's Jolene.
Okay.
I apologize. I had been attending meetings before COVID, and then I did not realize you guys were online. So I've missed you guys for a year.
I'm sorry we didn't do the proper outreach to let you know that we had changed venue.
I don't know. But anyway, so I went to the April 1st town hall meeting, which I thought was excellent. And so I kind of hope they do more town hall meetings like that. But I was curious, kind of, since I've been out of the loop with you guys for the last year, what is the neighborhood's thoughts on those two proposed housing projects? Is the neighborhood mostly okay with them, or my biggest thought is right across from the park. I mean, right across from the fountain will be a 4-story apartment building. And is that going to be weird?
Yeah,
I think that might be kind of weird.
And thank you for bringing that. I believe I believe you live right near that corner of.
I live on 12th.
Oh, okay, then I'm thinking of a different person. But anyway, we have had, of those two projects, only that project was actually brought in front of us. We hadn't heard anything about the senior affordable housing project at the community center. But I will say that we did have questions about it. Was that last month or 2 months ago? I think that was 2 months. I think it was February.
It's in February.
If you want to see what that meeting was like, it is available on the city website. And we also have the minutes from that, I believe, with the general response. So one of the things that we did get from them that I think was reiterated, I recall being reiterated at the town hall, was that this is a proposal still. This is not even this is not the typical land use procedure that we would normally see at bring into the NAC, where a developer has a plan and a plot of land and is ready to go next to the planning commission. This is still, and Francis, you can correct me if I'm misinterpreting this as well, but this is still a proposal to the city in order to, I think, sell the land that they own. And so that between now and then, there will be time, and the wheels of bureaucracy do move fairly slowly, especially in times like these. So there is time to keep abreast of that and to reach out to councilors, planning commission, to petition us to do something formal if there's support for that. And if you'd like to make this a further point of discussion for the neighborhood, then you can always, return to the meetings or ask me directly, say, hey, I'd like to make sure that there's a little bit of agenda time just to discuss. There's a lot going on in Central Beaverton. What's the feeling? And unfortunately, we were hoping to get greater engagement from the community, and we're working on that before the current public health crisis hit. And hopefully as that abates, we will be able to do that. And this may be one of the the ways that we engage the community. You know, nobody cares a lot until they're somehow they're directly impacted.
Right.
Right. So, but thank you
I'll
for.
go back and listen.
Yeah,
I'll go back and listen to that meeting, and then maybe next month.
Yeah, but yeah, honestly, the easiest way is to come back and join us every month and be the person that reminds us, hey, there's this thing that might be going on. What do we all think about this? And the more people that show up, the better an idea that we get, and you know, the better feedback that we got to the planning commission and the city council. So
okay, thank you.
But thank you for joining us and following up with that. So with that, I will say that ending 5 minutes over is not the worst thing that could have happened. So you're all good people. Thank you for joining us at the SNAC meeting this evening, and look forward to doing this with, I think, possibly all 4 city council candidates next month. So get ready for that. Also, Dan Turk will be, Dan Turk will be visiting us with a very big update about the downtown loop project, of which I know Rachel and I are both on the community advisory committee. So I would normally tell you about that, but we haven't done a lot. And Dan is going to overwhelm you with information next month. So look out for that. And with that, we're adjourned. Thank you.